So what are the blue zones? Well, the blue zones came from a really interesting study that was done looking at longevity. And this study looked at different communities around the world who had higher than average, much higher than average longevity. And they looked at places like Okinawa, they looked at Maasai tribes, they looked at kind of Midwest religious communities, and there was a bunch all over the world who had disproportionately high levels of longevity. And what they wanted to find out from this study was, well, these places are all over the world, different climates, completely separate, completely cut off, no communication with each other. How are they all outliving everybody else? And they basically come up with these concepts of overlap between these communities. So, they all had a real sense of purpose. They all had a real sense of belonging and community. They all ate in moderation. So there wasn't kind of any gorging. Most of them ate until they were sort of 80% full. They all had a lot of plant produce in their diet. They all regularly did physical activity. And really interestingly, none of these communities actually exercised as we would know it, but they were just regularly active. So they were hunter-gatherers, or they were farmers, or they were kind of labourers in terms of like building things within the community, like housing for each other and stuff like that. So there were these facts that were coming across to all of these communities, which led to an increase in longevity. So it was really, the obvious, I hope it's obvious, but the obvious stuff that we're always aiming to get to, which is belong to a part of community, have some purpose in your life, eat a sensible, balanced diet, don't overeat, consume alcohol moderately, if at all, exercise on a regular basis, and have some downtime was one of the other things they found. Like they all had some element of relaxation within their culture that they all used to help manage stress. So it's really interesting. There's a book you can buy. It's a great toilet book. You can just have it by the toilet and just read a chapter anytime you're in there, rather than scrolling through Instagram. It will give you that benefit, and you'll learn a bit about these blue zones, which are really, really interesting. And I think, as a rule, us in the West can learn a lot from these less civilized communities. They would probably be looked at, but actually communities that are getting it absolutely spot on. So have a look.